Hey everyone, my name is Dr. Dolores Tarver. I am a licensed psychologist here in Georgia, and it is time for the TT Time with Dr. Tarver is a wellness-based podcast. It is not intended to be a substitute for a relationship with a licensed mental health provider. Welcome to the last week in October. Sunday is Halloween. We will be transitioning into falling back as we change our clocks and prepare for sometimes what can be difficult for people as we get to have darker days where the sun is taking a little bit longer to come up, but it's going down a lot faster. And this can be a time of just seasonal difficulty for people. It also tends to be a time where we're talking a lot about relationships as we transition. You all know that this is the last installment of our series, Relax, Relate, Release. And we have been discussing all the kinds of aspects of anxiety as we work through this period of rejuvenation and transition and change that is often associated with the fall. And so, what more can talk about change than as we talk about relationship dynamics? I know that we're getting into cuffing season, as you all call it, where people are really thinking about settling down and getting in relationships as they go into this holiday season, as they go into these warmer temperatures, or cooler temperatures rather, wanting to have these relationships. But dating can also be a source of anxiety for people, particularly if you've just had some really negative experiences in the dating game, or you're new to the dating game, you haven't been out there in a while, or just in general, you've got some anxiety, as we've been talking about throughout this month. We've talked about the spiraling thoughts of anxiety. We've talked about complacency. We have discussed all of the things that make us uncomfortable in our skin. And so we're going to get into a little bit of this dating anxiety. We talked about social anxiety a couple of weeks ago. And so let's go ahead and get into it, why don't we? So I am not ready yet dealing with dating anxiety. I know that it is more than a notion to get out and date. There are a lot of ways that we can date, and most of them do cause us some form of anxiety because we're just apprehensive about the process. Meeting someone new, getting to know them, we have a lot of fears of being rejected. Sometimes we're just very shy, or maybe just not as developed in our social interaction skills. And so it is difficult sometimes to balance the nuances of dating, making sure that I have enough to talk about in the conversation. Am I going to be interesting enough for this person? Is this person going to like me? Am I going to get into this situation and then this person ghost me? Am I going to be dating and then I want to ghost somebody myself? And oftentimes what ends up happening is, as we're in this dating process, it can really affect our self-esteem. So if you're on the dating sites in particular, the majority of people on dating sites have noted that they experience some anxiety in the dating process because, like, you're swiping essentially. Do I want to talk to this person? Do I not want to talk to this person? I may match with this person on a lot of different characteristics, but I may send them a message and they may not message me back. Or I'm only getting messages from people maybe that I'm not interested in. Or I'm talking to people, but I'm only getting to a couple of conversations, not even going on a date. Or I go on dates and it doesn't materialize past one or two dates. And so what does that do? That makes us really uncomfortable. Like, is it me? I'm thinking about possibly maybe I'm not somebody that people are interested in if I'm continuing to have these experiences in dating. But then also the previous dating experiences that we've had going in to starting to date again. Again, as I mentioned earlier, did I just come out of something long term? So I'm, maybe just getting back into dating. I haven't been dating in a while. Maybe I was partnered and I've been partnered for 10, 15, 20 years. And now I've been out of the game for a long time. So I don't even know what dating is supposed to look like. And am I ready to date? And then also just the anxiety of maybe my relationship wasn't necessarily good relationship that I was in. And so I may be having feelings of not feeling worthy. I may be having feelings of wondering if really I can have the kind of partner that I want. And when we have negative experiences, we do put up these walls, right? So we're in these positions where we're thinking like, I can't handle another breakup. I can't handle another disappointment. I can't handle investing myself in something and then it doesn't come to fruition and I feel like I've wasted my time. And we get resentful because it throws us off. If you've ever had a breakup, I mean, you know the despair that you can fall into with a breakup, having to separate friendship groups. What if you're in church and you all were together and now you don't feel comfortable going back to this church? Or I don't feel comfortable going to the places where we used to go together. Or I definitely don't want to run into you and your new partner. And so there's a lot of different ways that we can become scorned in this process. And sometimes we can just feel like, especially in this dating, that people are only interested in sexual relationships. And maybe I want more than sexual relationships. Maybe I don't want to just be hooking up with people. I don't want to just be in this experience of being someone's sexual partner. I want to be able to have opportunities of partnership, of connection, of other types of intimacy other than sexual intimacy. And I feel like people are just looking at me, seeing me as a sexual object. And so I'm approaching things again with that apprehension, like, okay, is it going to be this again? Or I'm in this situation where people have just used me. So they've used me for housing, or they've used me to pay bills, or they use me to be an arm piece for them, to go to events with them, but then they're not continuing any kind of dialogue with me or interaction with me. They're not prioritizing me in any kind of way. And so I feel like I'm expendable. And so clearly I'm going to be anxious about getting into a situation again. Like, I don't want to keep going through that. I don't want to keep getting friend zoned. There's a lot of anxiety about, people want to date me and they enjoy me and they have a lot of fun with me, but they just keep on saying I'm a friend and it doesn't materialize to anything more than that. So yes, I have some anxiety. It's affected my self-esteem. It's made me really think about my worth. And if I really want to be in a relationship, in a situation again, or even getting back out into dating, because as we know, just because you get out in dating doesn't mean it's necessarily going to turn into any type of relationship. I often tell people dating is like job searching. And so you are going to put out a lot of applications and you may not necessarily get a lot of return on that investment. But when you do, you can have a really positive experience. So let's talk about some of the mechanisms that end up being barriers for us in this dating experience, the things that maintain our anxiety or have us be defensive as we're in this dating game that can cause us some problems as we're trying to move forward, because what we don't want to do is get in our own way. That first impression, we put so much weight on how a person is going to see us. What am I going to wear? What am I going to talk about? What if the interaction doesn't go well? Thinking about what place I want to go to for us to have this date. What happens if they start asking me about my previous dating experiences, or that dreaded question, why are you still single, that everybody hates to hear? Or we start getting into conversations about children. And there's just so many dynamics, and people oftentimes just don't even want to get into that. And again, this is just for a first date. Like, I'm already thinking about all of these things in this first date experience. So that gets into this whole barrier of these expectations. We have a lot of expectations going into the dating experience that can cause us to be really anxious, because we're already 15 steps ahead instead of us being able to actually sit in the presence of this moment that we're in the dating. So we have these elaborate scenarios that we play out in our mind, or I may be thinking about a negative experience. So you do something that reminds me of what someone else did, and the flags are out. We've seen all of these posts going around over the past couple of weeks about red flags, and so everybody's a little vigilant about, oh, okay, is this something I need to be careful about? Is this person not mentally healthy? Are they going to be an issue? Are they too clingy? Are they too right? So I'm already thinking about all of these things. And you talk about anxiety making, that is it. And sometimes we just go into things and we're not really honest about where we are and what we want in the space. And this can also contribute to our anxiety. So oftentimes we already start bargaining and negotiating and not being honest going in. So I'm already in a relationship, and I tell you that I'm not in a relationship. It may be ending. I may be in the process of separating, but I'm still in this relationship. So I'm misleading people about where I really am. I'm still over here living with my partner, and I'm out here trying to date. And so I'm not really trying to be honest about all of that, because you may be thinking that's a lot on a first date, but then I'm already misrepresenting myself. Or I may be going out into this dating knowing I want a monogamous relationship, but I'm telling people I'm open to non-monogamous relationships. or vice versa. I only want non-monogamous relationships, and I'm telling potential partners that I'm open to monogamous relationships when I'm not. So that not being honest also creates that anxiety, because I'm already starting out not being truthful about who I am and what I want. And so now I'm keeping secrets. So in keeping these secrets, that creates this environment of anxiety around me. And then there's that whole, we've been hoping and wishing and praying part of the dating, where we're like, okay, I've met this person. Somebody set me up, or I've gone on a dating site and we're going to go out on a date. And so I think clearly this has been the person I have asked for. God is sending me in this moment, this person who is going to be my forever person. Now, again, it's the first date, and I'm already in my head off to the races with these expectations that I have, thinking that this person is going to fulfill me in some way. They're what I've been looking for. And I set myself up for failure because they're not going to be that. This is a first date. I don't know this person and they don't know me. How in the world would I be able to determine that they were going to be my forever? So again, now I put anxiety on myself about having to make this work because I put so much expectation on you, person. And so now when there's distress in a relationship, or there's distress in this first date, it's not turning out, then here I am in shambles now because I put so much weight on it. So how do we avoid these traps? How do I get past the hurt I've had from these past relationships, this cycle that I feel like I'm on, where I can't get what I want from a person? I'm not meeting people that I really feel I'm equally yoked with, or that I can have a good connection with. We're not having effective communication. We don't even have similar interests. I feel like a lot of these dates are me not even going out with people that I really would want to go out with, but I'm just trying to fill voids because I'm bored, I'm lonely, I'm horny. And so I'm out here entertaining people that I don't even really want to entertain. How do I get out of this trap? Or that other piece of being so angry and resentful and bitter that I don't trust people. And I think here you all are going to be more of the same. You're liars, you're users. So I'm just going to get what I can get. With all of these things that we end up using as defense mechanisms to deal with hurt or pain or frustration of not being able to have what we want, the anxiety, the fear, so I'm going to be avoiding. Now I'm canceling on you and not going out with you because I'm fearful of actually being in the space with you, and I don't know what to say and I don't know what to wear, and it's going to go wrong because it always does, and you're going to think I'm odd and weird, and you're going to find out I have anxiety, and then that's just going to make everything uncomfortable, and I don't even want to put myself in this. So you can see the spiral, right, which we talked about in week 1, the spiraling. All right, so how do I get out of some of these negative potential patterns, these fearful patterns, these defensive patterns that I maybe have engaged in because of dating experiences that I've had, things I've learned from my family, personality dynamics, my own mental health stuff. First things first, it is always important to have a dating plan. And so a plan is much like it says it is. It's going to talk about who am I person, where am I, what is going on with me at this point in my life. Am I even in a position where I'm ready to date right now? What are my mental health issues that I may have going on? What are some of the personality dynamics that I know? And this is where you have to really do some honest self-talk and some honest assessment of yourself, because I cannot go into a situation trying to find partnership when I don't know who I am, right? So this is when you have to do the work of who am I? And that's your first work. Who am I? Am I ready to date? Am I open to dating? Have I done the work that I needed to do in terms of my mental wellness? Do I have other things going on in my life so I'm not looking to you, other person, to fill my needs? We've talked about codependency before, and oftentimes I'm going from one relationship to the next because I don't like being alone. So I need to do this work first, because I can't be out here hungry. If I'm out here hungry, I'm just going to be picking up whatever, even though it's not good for me. I might be allergic to it. I might have an intolerance for it. It's going to upset my stomach. So I can't be out here hungry in this dating. Dating should be a complement to already what I have going on in my life. So in my dating plan, I need to make sure that I've got already in place meaningful and purposeful activity, that I have nurtured myself, that I have relationships with other people, with people who are my support system, my crew, my tribe. Like I already need to have those things in place before I even start trying to date. In other words, I need to be stable, right? Before I get into this dating. What are my needs? What are my non-negotiables, right? We all have needs, we have wants, we have desires. What are the things that are non-negotiable? If I don't want to date people with children, I don't need to let anybody guilt me into, well, you're not being open. Nobody is in a position now where they don't have children. You're being too picky, right? If that's what I don't want, and I have my reasons for not wanting to date people with children, then I don't need to entertain people that have children. I need to stick to that boundary. That's my non-negotiable. Because when we go back and forth on things and we're not resolute in our boundary, then this is when we cause ourselves anxiety because now I'm doing something that makes me uncomfortable. And now I'm over here resentful because I didn't want to be in this position in my life right now, dating people with children for various reasons. And don't get mad at folks because that's what they want. Some people only want to date people with children. Some people are open. They don't have a preference. But allow people to have whatever their preferences are and not take that personal. And that comes to them dating you as well. Because they may say to you, I don't want to date you for these things because they're non-negotiables. Hey, I appreciate your time, because what I don't want to do is get to the point where I feel like I should be what everybody wants, okay? Because I'm not going to be everybody's flavor and everybody's not going to be mine, right? So what are my non-negotiables? What do I want in terms of a relationship dynamic? Am I just dating? So I just want to kind of get out here, date a variety of people, get back out in the dating experience, have some fun, make some friends, make some connections, and then I may decide from that point I want to move on to something more longer term, or am I looking for something more longer term? And am I looking for a monogamous relationship or non-monogamous relationship? And again, these are things that I need to already know before I start the dating process, and that's why this is a dating plan. I need to be clear because I need to be clear with any potential partners about what it is I'm looking for and what I want. I don't want to waste people's time, and I definitely don't want people wasting my time, right? Am I in a process where there are people in my life who could be barriers, or things in my life that could be barriers? Oftentimes we have families that we may, children or co-parenting situations that we're dealing with. You might be at home living with parents. You might be caregiving. Any of those things could be coming up. And if they are, then are those things going to affect me in the dating? And if they're going to affect me in the dating, then I need to be mindful about how can I reduce their impact? Or is this the time that I want to be dating right now? Do I want to go ahead and get some things handled before I date, right? So these are some of the things that you need to be thinking about. Also, in terms of this experience, do I have people that are going to be negative in my life right now as I'm trying to date? The people who are jaded, who are bitter, who are struggling, who are not in good relationships in their own life. And so they're going to be negatively talking to me in this process, increasing my anxiety and also adding to my stress in the dating. So I need to make sure that I'm dealing with those people. You can't talk to everybody about your dating experiences. You can't talk to everybody about your potential, right? So you're out here talking to grandma. Grandma's planning a wedding. Grandma's like, I've been waiting so long for you, baby, to find your loved one. I prayed that God send you someone, and here they are. And you're like, whoa, we just had one date. So you want to be mindful about this as you think about your dating plan. Who am I going to talk to about this? Who's going to be my support? Who's going to be my practice, right? Because if I'm really anxious, I'm uncomfortable, getting out there, it's been a little while, then I need to have people I'm practicing with, practicing conversations with, going out and spending time. If I have a hard time looking people in the eye, or I have a hard time generating conversation topics, or I don't like being in spaces where there are a lot of people, right here, there's going to be people that are going to coach me and allow me to practice before I go out on my date so I can feel more comfortable. So who are my people going to be that support me, and who are the people that I may not need to be interacting with because they can be detrimental to this process? Because everybody's not going to be for you in this dating experience, and people always have opinions about how you should date and who you should date. And so you don't want to have that negativity increasing your distress as you're going into this dating experience. If in fact you recognize there is a deficit in your skills, whether that is your ability to communicate effectively, feeling awkward, uncomfortable in your skin, being able to have conversation topics, being able to be in this experience of dating and not see it as rejection when people don't call you back, or you end up just having first dates instead of like, hey, we just weren't a good fit. And I don't internalize that, right? So we got to do that work, because sometimes we're going to end up getting to a point where we say, I'm not worthy. That self-esteem piece is affected, right? Because I'm having these experiences where things don't work out. So I want to make sure that I'm working on those skills too. What's my affirmations going to be? Am I going to be in therapy as I'm going through this? I want to be able to focus on being in the present. So I don't have all of these dreams and expectations. I'm not out here planning that wedding on that first date. I want to be able to be in the moment of this dating experience. Who am I dating now? And focus on them, not in my head about, oh, my shoes though. Oh, what about my hair? Oh, did they just see that I had food in my teeth? Oh, I hate that I said that like that. Now they're probably thinking I'm odd, right? So I'm all in my head ruminating, making myself anxious. And guess what? I'm not focusing on what you're saying. I'm not being present in this moment. So I want to be able to practice being present in the moment, in the space of dating you, and not have expectations of this moment other than just have fun. Let me get to know you. Let me have a goal of what's one thing about you that I didn't know that I can find out, or what's something maybe that you can teach me or share with me that I can learn from you. And then also, what are the great characteristics about me? Some things that I want to share with you and allow you to learn about me. So, and again, this goes back to the dating plan. Am I ready to date, and the work that I need to do around myself? Because guess what? I need to feel good enough about myself to feel like I have something to offer you in that moment. And again, if I'm nurturing the non-romantic relationships, I've got my peer support group, I'm doing meaningful and purposeful activity, I'm not going to have so much pressure on this. We put so much pressure on romantic relationships that we devalue the other relationships that we have in our lives. You've got relationships with people in organizations you're a part of, or at your church, or your coworkers, or your siblings, or your friends that you've grown up with. So you have these other relationships that you can lean on for support, that you do fun things with these people, that you're out here engaging in living in this life that you want, right? Because we're choosing how we want to live. We're choosing how we want to show up. We're creating who is the purpose, who is the person I want to be, what is my why. So if I've already got that in place and I'm comfortable in my skin, then again, I'm taking the pressure off myself to not be so anxious about you person being my person, and me putting so much worth and value into you and the dating and having a partner that I lose sight of me. And this is often why we have negative experiences, because I lose me in the process. Trying to love you, I lose me. I give up, I sacrifice for myself. And then when you're not there, I don't have anything. So I want to make sure I have these things in place. I need for you to be very clear. There are going to be frustrations in dating. Everybody that you go out with is not going to end up being a person that's going to be long-term. You are going to have some very funny experiences. Like, I cannot believe this happened. This was the weirdest date ever. This person was odd. You might have some rude people. May have some very pushy people. And that's why it's important in your dating plan. What's my non-negotiables? Having my boundaries, and having your friends set up. Like, if I need to get out of a situation, I'm feeling uncomfortable. And that's why I definitely say group dates or in person in environments where there are a lot of people dating. You do not need to be having a first date at somebody's house that you don't know. And so now you're in their territory, in their ground, and then you could be ending up in a situation that's uncomfortable for you, or going somewhere where you didn't take your own transportation. So now you're stuck with this person. So if things don't go well, you don't have an exit strategy. So you need to be able to have an Uber or a friend or something. So at any point, if you're uncomfortable, you can be able to leave. And if you're dealing with a lot of anxiety anyway, you may want to have a time limit on it anyway. Like, let's do something that's an hour, hour and a half. And so I know it's going to end. We go play mini golf. I know after those rounds of golf, we're done. And then I can move on. I can say, oh, I have something else planned, right? So this is part of that dating strategy, me being able to make sure that I can safely get to and safely leave an environment and not put myself in any jeopardy and any danger, because safety first. Like, I want you all to be careful. I want you to make good, wise decisions, because there are predators out there, and we don't want you to be in a situation where you're violated in some way by a predator. Make sure you know who you're going out with. Have those conversations first. And again, meeting people in public places. So if you're not the person that you were on this computer, then at any point I can leave. And I want you all to feel like you do not have to stay in something out of using your manners, as we often do here in the South. That's not healthy for you. That's not safe for you. If that situation isn't safe, then leave. Hey, I'm so sorry that something came up. I'll talk to you later, and you don't have to. But what I want you all to remember, above all else, breathe, okay? It's dating. It is not a lifetime commitment to anything. It is simply the process of dating. So take some pressure off yourself that it has to turn into anything longer term. You don't have to be perfect. The people that you're going to be going out on dates with are not going to be perfect. You could benefit from learning some patience in this process because, again, you're going to be putting out a lot of applications. You may not get a lot of return on your investment, but that doesn't mean you're not qualified for the job. You can have what you want in partnership. You can have what you deserve in partnership by practicing good, healthy skills and knowing yourself and being honest with yourself about where you are in this dating process. Okay? So best wishes in your dating and be well.